Hello and welcome to episode 105 of A Stitch in Time. Today is Thursday, June 27th, 2019. My name is Carol and I am known as Knitsnpurls on Ravelry. And I'm coming to you from my home in the Fraser Valley of British Columbia, not too far from Vancouver. Thanks so much for joining me today, and a very special hello and welcome to any new viewers who might be checking out the podcast for the first time. I hope you like what you see and that you'll be back. How's everyone been? It's been a pretty good week for me. It has gone by in a flash, as it often, or as the weeks often do. And this day in particular has just kind of disappeared. Once again, I'm kind of flying by the seat of my pants as I record this week. I woke up with very good intentions and was planning to record this morning, but I ended up dealing with a issue with some new computer software that just consumed most of my time. The good news is that I did get my program up and running. The bad news is that I am very far behind on everything I had wanted to accomplish today. We are heading out tomorrow afternoon to go up to the cabin for the Canada Day long weekend, and I now have less than 24 hours to get all those things done. But I did want to record today, so let's see if we can get through this without too many mistakes. Before I talk about the knitting, I want to remind you about the Shop the Stash Knit Along Crochet Along that is going on in the Ravelry group. Knit or crochet anything from stash, and by stash, it's anything that was acquired prior to 2019. I had someone ask me about hand spun and fiber that came from their stash. Would those things qualify? And sure, they're just stash in the case of fiber in another form. So spin it up and knit it up, and by all means chat about it in the chatter thread and enter your finished projects in the FO thread. Check out the chatter thread. The first post has all the rules, not that there are a lot, because I like nice easy knit-alongs. And also I have gotten finally around to posting pictures of the prizes. So the CAL runs until the end of August, and I hope you'll join us. I can't believe it's been a really busy week in that thread, and wow, you guys have just been whipping your way through projects. It's a great feeling, isn't it? I have a few things myself that have been knitting from stash lately, and it is a really good feeling to see those, sometimes, in some cases, really beloved skeins of yarn being knit up and turned into something more tangible. Not that yarn isn't tangible, but it's nice to see it, the possibilities being met. And what feels really good too is resisting the urge to add to my stash. As you know, it's quite sizable, and while I don't generally have a lot of guilt about the size of my stash, it was getting to the point where it was overrunning its storage, and so it's feeling good to see some room opening up in my various storage containers. So once again, I actually have a finished project, but I can't show it to you. I continued this week to work on the socks that I am designing, and I finished my first sample pair this morning and blocked them. And so I'm in the process of writing up the pattern and getting it test knit and knitting the other sample for it. I'm doing one in a smaller size and a larger size. So it's motoring right along. Not nearly quick enough for my liking, but hopefully in the coming weeks I'll be able to show that off. In the meantime, let's see, I've been working, I'm just going to reach over here. I've been working on my plain vanilla socks out of this gorgeous great yarn from Stephen B's in Minneapolis. It is from 3 Irish Girls. It is Adorn Luxe in the Electric Peacock colorway, and it is an exclusive colorway for Stephen B's, and I got that on my trip to Minnesota last year. So there's all the details. So last week I showed you that I think I completed the heel and was working my way down the foot, and I did finish the first sock there. It kind of matches my t-shirt. I love all these colors. They're so bright and fun and colorful, and I really, really like how the yarn knit up. It's all in just little sections. You know, there's a little bit of turquoise, a little bit of green, a little bit of purple. So it doesn't really have the opportunity to really pool, which I really like. So I finished that sock, and then I've cast on for the second sock and done, I think, maybe two rows of ribbing. I want to get the ribbing done before we head out tomorrow. Not that I can't work on ribbing in the car, but it's easier if I have the ribbing done and have the right number of rows, and then I can just knit away while we drive up to the cabin. So that's one of the things I'm hoping to get done before we leave tomorrow, but not essential. This will be like low on the priority list. Things like grocery shopping and packing are definitely going to be higher on that list. Just lean out of frame here a little bit, put this down. I also continue to work on my Cliff Walk socks by Helen Stewart, part of the Handmade Sock Society 2, and I am knitting those out of this yarn, which is Dream in Color Smooshy with cashmere in the sock weight, and it is the Slippery Trail colorway. So as the name suggests, it has, I guess it's 20% cashmere, and it is a really soft, what's the word I'm looking for? It's a little bit thicker yarn and has a real nice squish factor to it. So I believe once again I had finished the heel and picked up for the gusset, so you can see I've been working my way down the foot on that. Yeah, not a lot to say about it. I really like this stitch pattern. It's super easily memorizable, very intuitive, and these have been great socks to work on when I just needed a little break from my sample socks, which are a little bit more complicated, and not much though. And yeah, just needed to break things up. So enjoying working on those for sure. So yeah, just a few more repeats and it'll be time for the toes on that one, or the toe, one toe per sock. I only have 5 toes. I only need, forget it, forget it. I was thinking, one day I said to the pitcher on my husband's ball team that he looked so calm when he was pitching. And he said, well, I'm glad, because he said, I'm like that duck that looks very calm sitting on top of the water, but its feet are paddling like mad underneath. That's how I feel right now. So hopefully I'm not coming across nearly as frantic as I feel inside. I've tried very hard to just center myself. The third project that I'm going to show you is the Edinburgh shawl by Helen Stewart also. And this is a 3-color asymmetrical triangular shawl. You can see it's a combination of garter stitch stripes and lace sections, and I'm really enjoying this project. So I have made my way up to this section here. There's the phone. It's been that kind of day. Be right back. All right, so that took a lot longer than I'd hoped it would. So let's carry on. I believe I was talking about the Edinburgh Lanes shawl. So the yarns that I am using for that, or the yarn, is Madeline Tosh Euro Sock in 3 different colorways. So first we have AO, which is this red variegated. And then there's this charcoal with little bits of gray, or little bits of red and purple, orange. I think there's a bit of green in there, a little blue. So that is Brienne of Tarth Battles a Bear. I just love the name of that. And then finally this tonal charcoal gray, and that is Toner Cartridge. So for the most part, the red is used in conjunction with one of these 2 yarns, and it's not until the very end that these 2 are used together in stripes. And as I suspected, through the body of the shawl so far, you don't see a lot of difference between these 2. I'm curious to see once we knit them, or once I knit them together, I think definitely I'll see a little more variation or differentiation. So yeah, I've worked on this quite a bit up until Sunday evening, and then I put it away for the week, concentrated on my design work, but very happy with it so far. So I think last week I got up to about around here, and you can see I've done a fair bit more. I'm in the next section of lace, and I think I have one more repeat of this lace to go before it goes into another sort of striped section. So in here is where the toner cartridge between, let's see, I can tell from the back, between here and, see where my ends are woven in, around here. So that section, that's where the toner cartridge is used, and the rest is where that Brienne Barth. So as you can see, there's not huge differences between where the more tonal gray, solid gray is used, but you can tell a little bit. And certainly I like the overall effect. Red's my favorite color anyway, and I love red and gray together. And yeah, I think that's gonna turn out to be a really, really nice shawl. So I'm enjoying it very much, and look forward to getting back to it one of these days. So as for what I'm reading, I finished The Horse Whisperer, and I didn't want it to end. You know, you have those books where you really like the characters and you wish you could, the story could go on forever, but all good things must come to an end. And it had been a lot of years since I'd read this or watched the movie, and I had totally forgotten how it ended. So as I could see I was getting close to the end of the book, I wasn't sure how it was going to resolve, and I was surprised, shocked at the end with how it ended. Apparently the movie and book end differently. I can't remember how the movie ends either. So definitely enjoyed revisiting this book. And I haven't started a new one, but I'm going to. There's a new book out by Greg Iles, who's one of my favorite authors. It's called Cemetery Road. Apparently it came out in March. Neither Cameron nor I realized it at the time, but it came up on his email, I think. A Kindle version for $3.99, so you can't lose with that. So he's in the process of reading it on his Kindle right now, and I've got it ready to go on mine. So that's going to be my next reading. And I hadn't really planned to talk about this, but while I was working on my Edinburgh shawl, I was, for part of it, was watching a series on Netflix called Shetland, which has been on my sort of favorites list or to watch list for a while. And I finally got around to it. Now, Obviously, the name just appealed to me because I think Shetland, I think knitting, sheep, wool. And there are some good sweaters in the show and hats and good knitwear. But the show is actually about a man who lives, can't remember the name of the town. He's a police inspector, and it's essentially a series of murder mysteries. And they're based on a book. I can't remember the author's name. I'll put it down here. And at least so far, every 2 episodes involve one story or one book. And so I think I've watched 6 episodes now, so 3 different stories. And you know I love a murder mystery, and that's essentially what this is, murder mystery on film. The main character comes from Fair Isle. Of course you think Fair Isle sweaters. And the last one that I watched took place on Fair Isle, and apparently there's only like 70 people on the island, which I had no idea it was that sparsely, I should say, populated. So that's a really small place. The scenery is beautiful, as you might imagine. So yeah, if you're looking for something new to watch, I'd recommend it. I'm really enjoying it. And I guess that just brings what's going on around here. So, pretty uneventful week, really. Last night we had ball, and they were predicting, well, there was a thunderstorm alert on, and sure enough, shortly after we got to the field, the thunder and lightning started, and then the rain came, but they persisted and played anyway. Both my 2 younger grandkids were there with my daughter watching their dad play, and then another man on the team, his wife and kids were there too. The kids, they were out in the rain, they got soaked, but they had fun until it got a little cold and wet, and then they were ready to go home. And then we found out it all was played for nothing because only, I guess, a few teams throughout the league actually played the game. And they canceled the later ones, and so they're not even counting it towards the league's schedule this year. So we could have been home in a nice, warm, dry house, and instead we're out at the cold, wet ball field. But whatever, it was a good time actually anyway. And yeah, then as I mentioned, we are heading to the cabin tomorrow afternoon. Cameron's getting off a bit early, so we'll get up there in time for supper. My sister from Toronto is flying out for the weekend, so she arrives late tomorrow morning, and she'll head up with one of my sisters and her husband. And then another sister and her husband are coming on Sunday. So including my mom, we'll have 6 of us there for Friday, Saturday, and then 8 of us for Sunday. So a nice size group. 4 out of 5 of the sisters will be together. The 5th one is babysitting her grandson while my niece and her husband are moving this coming weekend. So I'm sure she'd love to be with us, but I also know she was really looking forward to babysitting. Her grandson's only, he was born in October, so I saw him 2 weeks ago, or last week, I can't remember. Yeah, 2 weeks ago, I guess. He's a real cutie. So anyway, yeah, that's good for her. But we'll miss having everyone together. And then I didn't mention last week, I forgot, is just to say I've been really staying on track with my healthy living plan. I'm on, today was day 28 of doing my classical stretch every day. So I'm really pleased about that. I've been walking several times a week and eating better. So I've lost a little bit of weight, toned up a little bit, and best of all, feel really, really good. So it's working. I've got, I'm determined to keep on with this. So yeah, feeling really good about that. So I didn't think of something good for this week either. like I said, it's been a little bit of a crazy day, and hopefully the rapidly paddling feet haven't been too evident, because certainly I definitely feel a little bit harried. So I need to, got some laundry in the dryer that needs folding, and still need to pack and need to make out a grocery list and go grocery shopping. So still lots to do today. It's 4:15, so I'm going to get this uploading. I can do a couple things while that's happening. Shouldn't take too long to edit. There should just be a couple of clips that I have to kind of meld together and do all the rest of the little bits of stuff, and then hopefully I'll get it up by this evening, tomorrow morning at the latest. So yeah, it's our, I don't know if I mentioned, it's Canada Day is coming up on Monday, so it's a long weekend for us here in Canada. So happy Canada Day to all my fellow Canadians. And then of course on Thursday will be 4th of July. So happy 4th of July to all of my American friends. I guess it's not technically a long weekend, but hopefully you're able to add a day and make it so. So yeah, for all of you who get a little holiday in the next week or so, enjoy. And yes, summer solstice. I can't believe it's come and gone. The days are going to gradually get a little shorter now. I am just loving the long evenings, and we'll just have to really appreciate them while they last. Because you know how it goes, before you know it. No, I'm not going to say. I was going to say before you know it, like winter solstice will be here, but that's looking way too far ahead. But I do know how quickly the summer goes, so I'm going to try and stop and smell the roses and appreciate it while we can. Now, I don't know, I just felt like the lights just flickered a bit, so maybe we have a little bit more thunder and lightning on the way. It wouldn't surprise me. It's definitely overcast there, and I can't remember if I said at the beginning, but it was raining all morning, but and kind of stopped for the afternoon, but I wouldn't be surprised to see a little more rain. And it's not supposed to be a really great weekend up at the cabin either, but we'll have fun whatever the weather. There's always lots to do, and definitely catch up and enjoy being together. Okay, that's it. Take care, and I will should be able to talk to you next week, and hopefully things will be a little calmer then. Take care till then. Bye.